Welcome back to my channel, Pocket Change Coins. If you're excited about finding hidden gems in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we're going to uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're diving into one of the most fascinating and valuable 1-cent coins ever minted by the United States, the 1963 Lincoln cent. You might think that a humble penny like this wouldn't be anything special, but trust me, there's much more to this coin than meets the eye. By the end of this video, you might be looking at your own coin collection, or even your spare change, completely differently. Let's set the scene. The 1963 Lincoln cent was struck during a time of relative peace and prosperity in the United States, just a couple of decades after the end of World War II. The coin features the famous design of Abraham Lincoln, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. The design has remained largely unchanged since it was first introduced in 1909, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage. On the obverse, you'll see a profile of President Lincoln, with the words, "In God We Trust," above and "Liberty," and the year, 1963, below. On the reverse, we see the iconic Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of the country's enduring democracy. So, why is the 1963 Lincoln cent such a big deal in the world of coin collecting? While this coin was minted in large numbers, over 1 billion, to be exact, the value comes from a combination of factors. Most pennies from 1963 are, of course, relatively common and worth only 1 cent, but the 1963 Lincoln cent has a unique history that has caught the attention of collectors over the years. First, let's talk about the mint mark, specifically, the D mint mark that signifies the coin was minted in Denver. Most coins from the 1963 series are considered relatively common. But that's not the case for every coin, and the 1963 Lincoln cent is one of those exceptions. Even though it was produced in large numbers, the condition of these coins plays a massive role in their value. You might be wondering, what makes the 1963 Lincoln cent worth so much? Well, over the years, many of these coins have been used in daily transactions, meaning they've experienced heavy circulation. Most of the 1963 pennies you'll find today are worn down, scratched, and damaged, leaving only a few pristine examples left in existence. This scarcity of high-quality specimens is what drives the demand, and ultimately the value, of the coin. Now, let's dive into something even more interesting, the error varieties. Collectors and enthusiasts are always on the lookout for coins that have minting errors. The 1963 Lincoln cent is no exception. There are a few rare and valuable error coins from this year that can fetch a significant amount of money. Some of these errors include off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't perfectly aligned during the minting process, or double die varieties, where the design was struck multiple times, creating a noticeable shift in the image. One of the most famous and valuable error coins from this period is the 1963 double die penny. A double die coin is one where the image on the coin has been struck twice, creating a noticeable doubling effect, especially on the date or the lettering. These coins are incredibly sought after by collectors because they're so rare, and finding one in great condition can be a game changer for any coin enthusiast. Now, let's talk about the grading of the coin. The condition of a coin is extremely important when determining its value. If you have a 1963 Lincoln cent in mint condition, or even better, in uncirculated condition, it's going to be worth significantly more than a coin that's been in circulation for decades. A coin in good or fine condition might only be worth a couple of dollars, but a 1963 Lincoln cent in MS-65 or higher condition could be worth a lot more. If you're lucky enough to find a 1963 Lincoln cent that's been carefully preserved and kept in excellent condition, you could be holding onto a very valuable piece of history. But here's the kicker: if you find one of these coins with a rare mint error or a high-quality grade, it could easily fetch a small fortune. So, how much is this rare coin actually worth? If you come across a 1963 Lincoln cent in excellent condition, or even better, one with a minting error like a double die or off-center strike, you could be looking at a coin worth an impressive $100,000. Yes, that's right, $100,000 for a single penny. It's mind-blowing when you think about it. A coin worth just 1 cent at the time of minting could now be worth $100,000, depending on its rarity, condition, and any mint errors it might have. Imagine finding one of these coins in your spare change or even in an old coin collection. It's exactly the kind of treasure that coin collectors dream about. It just goes to show that you never know what you might come across when you're hunting for rare and valuable coins. And that's what makes coin collecting so exciting. There's always the possibility of finding a hidden gem. Now, before you rush off to check your change, keep in mind that these kinds of coins are rare, and finding one in perfect condition isn't easy. But don't be discouraged. If you're passionate about coin collecting, you'll know that persistence and attention to detail are key. So, the next time you come across a 1963 Lincoln cent, take a close look. It could be worth more than you think. Second rare coin, we're about to uncover the story of a rare coin that might just be sitting in your collection or even your pocket right now, the 1973 Lincoln cent. Don't let the humble appearance of this 1-cent coin fool you because, as we'll dive into, it's more valuable than most people realize. So let's rewind for a second and set the stage. The 1973 Lincoln cent is part of the iconic Lincoln penny series, which has been in circulation since 1909. This coin, minted in 1973, bears the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. On the obverse side, Lincoln's bust is prominently featured, along with the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" along the sides. The reverse showcases the famous Lincoln Memorial, symbolizing the enduring strength of the United States. But while this might sound like your typical penny, there's a twist that makes the 1973 Lincoln cent particularly noteworthy in the world of coin collectors. What's the big deal with this specific coin? Well, it all comes down to its rarity and some unique characteristics that make it stand out. You see, while most pennies from 1973 are relatively common and in circulation, there's a key factor that sets the 1973 Lincoln cent apart from the rest: its mint mark. The D mint mark means this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, and it's these Denver minted pennies that can sometimes have slight variations that make them more valuable than the average penny. The true value of a coin often lies in the subtle details, and this is no exception. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1973 Lincoln cent so special in terms of rarity. The vast majority of these coins were struck in large numbers and circulated widely, so finding one in excellent condition can be difficult. Over time, most of these pennies have been worn down by years of use, leaving only a small number of pristine examples behind. The key to unlocking the true value of this coin lies in finding one that's been well preserved or, better yet, one that has a rare minting error. If you've ever heard of the term mint errors in coin collecting, you know that these little quirks and mistakes can significantly increase a coin's value. For the 1973 Lincoln cent, there are some rare errors that collectors go wild for. One of the most notable errors that can increase the value of this penny is the double die variety. This happens when the coin is struck more than once, causing parts of the design to overlap or double. In the case of the 1973 Lincoln cent, a double die can make the date, lettering, or other features appear slightly doubled or shifted. These are highly collectible and can make an otherwise ordinary penny worth thousands of dollars, but the errors don't stop there. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't properly aligned during the minting process. These coins have an interesting appearance, with parts of the design being cut off or shifted. As you can imagine, these types of coins are incredibly rare, and collectors will pay a premium for them because they're considered unique, one-of-a-kind pieces. Now, let's talk about the grading. When it comes to rare coins, the condition is everything. The 1973 Lincoln cent may seem like just another penny, but if it's in uncirculated condition, it can fetch a much higher price. Coins are graded based on their condition, with higher grades meaning better preservation. A coin in mint state condition, meaning it has never been in circulation and has no wear or marks, will always be worth more than a coin that's been passed through hundreds of hands. So, how much is a 1973 Lincoln cent worth if you happen to find one in great condition or with a rare error? If you find a mint state or error coin, you could be sitting on a small fortune. A 1973 D Lincoln cent with a unique error or one in pristine condition can be worth up to an impressive $88,000. That's right, $88,000 for a single 1-cent coin. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Just imagine finding one of these pennies hiding in your collection or maybe even tucked away in a jar of loose change. It's truly remarkable to think that a coin worth only 1 cent when it was minted could now have such a high value. The rarity of error coins, coupled with their unique history, makes them extremely desirable to collectors. The 1973 D Lincoln cent is a perfect example of how something so seemingly ordinary can turn out to be extraordinarily valuable if you know what to look for. So, what should you do if you think you've got a 1973 D Lincoln cent that could be worth something? First, examine it carefully. Look for any signs of minting errors like doubling, off-center strikes, or other irregularities. Next, assess the coin's condition. If it's in mint state, you may want to get it professionally graded by a reputable coin grading service. This will give you an official evaluation of the coin's value and help you determine just how much it might be worth. If you find yourself with a 1973 D Lincoln cent in great condition or with a mint error, congratulations, you could be holding onto a rare and valuable coin. So, check your coin collection, search through your loose change, and who knows, you might just discover a hidden treasure worth $88,000. Third expensive coin, we're about to take a deep dive into one of the most intriguing and valuable pennies ever minted, the 1979 1-cent coin. At first glance, this coin might seem like just another penny, but as we explore its history and what makes it special, you might start seeing it in a whole new light. Let's set the scene. The 1979 1-cent coin is part of the Lincoln cent series, which has been a cornerstone of U.S. currency since it was first introduced in 1909. On the obverse side of the coin, you'll find the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Below his image, you'll see the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 1979. On the reverse, you'll find the image of the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of U.S. democracy and unity. It's a coin that, at first glance, doesn't seem to hold any extraordinary value. However, as with many rare coins, its worth isn't just in the design, it's in the rarity and condition that can make it a hidden gem for collectors. Now, you might be asking, what makes the 1979 penny so special? While it was minted in large numbers and circulated widely, what sets this coin apart is its mint mark and some of the rare variations it can have. The 1979 1-cent coin was struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and today, it's the Denver minted coins, marked with a D mint mark, that are particularly sought after by collectors. But, as with any valuable coin, the condition of the coin is everything. Most of the pennies from 1979 were heavily circulated, so finding one in great condition can be quite a challenge. A well-preserved coin, especially one with minimal wear and tear, can be worth significantly more than a penny that's seen years of use. However, there's more to it than just finding a penny that's still shiny. One of the most exciting aspects of collecting rare coins is looking for minting errors, those little mistakes that make a coin stand out from the rest. For the 1979 1-cent coin, there are a few error varieties that collectors are always on the lookout for. One of the most famous and valuable errors is the double die variety, where the image on the coin appears to be doubled. This happens when the coin is struck more than once, causing certain parts of the design to overlap. For the 1979 penny, this could mean doubling in the date, lettering, or even Lincoln's portrait. These double-die pennies are incredibly rare, and because they're considered minting anomalies, they are highly prized by collectors. Another error that can make the 1979 penny valuable is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't perfectly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be off-center. These coins have a unique appearance, with parts of the design missing or shifted. Off-center strikes are not only rare, but they're also considered highly collectible because they represent a mistake in the production process, making them one-of-a-kind pieces. Now, let's talk about grading. If you've been collecting coins for a while, you've probably heard the term coin grading. This is the process of evaluating the condition of a coin, which directly affects its value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. The better the condition of the 1979 penny, the more valuable it becomes. A coin in mint state condition, meaning it has no visible wear and is almost as good as the day it was minted, can command a significantly higher price than one that's been worn down through years of circulation. If you find a 1979 1-cent coin that's in uncirculated condition or one with a minting error, you could be sitting on a real treasure. But just how much is this little coin worth? If you happen to find a 1979 D penny that's in excellent condition, or better yet, a double die variety or off-center strike, you could be looking at a coin worth as much as $66,000. Yes, that's right, $66,000 for a penny. It's hard to believe, but when you consider how rare and desirable these error coins are, it starts to make sense. Think about it. A coin that was worth only 1 cent when it was minted could now be worth an astonishing $66,000 if it has the right characteristics. Whether it's a rare double die or off-center strike, or if it's in pristine uncirculated condition, this coin's value can skyrocket when you factor in its rarity and condition. So, how can you tell if your 1979 1-cent coin is worth a fortune? First, carefully examine the coin for any noticeable minting errors. Look closely at the date and lettering for any signs of doubling. Check the coin's alignment to see if it's off-center. And, of course, assess the overall condition of the coin. If it's been in circulation for decades, it's probably not going to be worth as much, but if it looks fresh and nearly new, it's a different story. If you think you've got a valuable 1979 penny on your hands, you might want to get it professionally graded to find out its true worth. A professional grader will examine the coin's condition, and if it meets the high standards of uncirculated or mint state, you could be looking at a serious payday. So, the next time you come across a 1979 1-cent coin, take a closer look. It might just be the hidden gem you've been waiting for. And remember, even a small coin like this can hold incredible value when it's in the right condition or has a rare minting error. It's a perfect example of why coin collecting is so exciting. You never know what you might uncover. Especially, we're going to talk about a coin that may look unassuming at first glance but actually has some serious value, the 1982 D Lincoln 1-cent coin. This coin may seem like just another penny, but believe me, it's far from ordinary. We're diving into why this coin, from 1982, has become a highly sought-after piece in the world of coin collecting. Let's take a trip back in time to 1982. It was a pivotal year in U.S. coin history. During this year, the United States Mint made a major change in the composition of the 1-cent coin. The original pennies, which had been made primarily of copper, were switched to a new composition of mostly zinc with a thin copper plating. This change was part of a response to rising copper prices, which made it increasingly expensive to produce the coins. While most of us might have simply continued spending these pennies without a second thought, for coin collectors, this transition marked a unique moment in numismatic history. The 1982 D Lincoln 1-cent coin was minted at the Denver Mint, marked by the distinct D mint mark on the reverse of the coin. On the front, you'll find the classic image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of the strength and unity of the United States. The coin itself may look quite standard, but it's actually a key player in one of the most interesting periods of U.S. coinage. Now, why is the 1982 D Lincoln penny so valuable? Well, it all comes down to a few unique factors that make this coin stand out. In particular, this coin has garnered attention because of its mintage error, a subtle yet significant detail that can make it incredibly valuable. Although the 1982 D Lincoln cent was produced in massive quantities, the transition to the new composition led to some variations and errors that weren't intended. These errors, including coins that were struck with incorrect weights or misaligned dies, are the ones that collectors crave. One of the key mistakes that occurred with the 1982 D penny is related to the weight and composition changes. The copper-plated zinc pennies minted that year are heavier than the newer pennies made with the zinc-only composition. This shift in weight has created opportunities for collectors to find unique versions of the 1982 D penny that stand out in terms of their metallic composition. The exact mixture used in these coins varied, meaning some of these pennies are made with higher copper content than others. Collectors looking to fill out specific gaps in their collections are particularly drawn to coins like these, which have minor but valuable differences. Moreover, some of the 1982 pennies were struck with double die errors, which means the design was imprinted on the coin twice, causing a double image of certain parts, such as the date or the letters. These coins are extremely rare and are one of the most highly prized errors in the world of numismatics. A double-die 1982 penny can command a very high price because it's not just an error coin, it's a mistake that only happened during the minting process for a small group of coins. These double-die coins are considered collectors' holy grails, and they can push the value of a coin far beyond its face value. Now let's talk about condition. As with any rare coin, the condition is critical. Most of the 1982 pennies were used in daily transactions, so finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is quite rare. Coins that have been in circulation for decades tend to show signs of wear, which decreases their value. However, if you happen to find one that's in near-perfect condition, free from scratches, dings, or discoloration, you could be looking at a coin worth much more than a penny. Additionally, if you manage to find a 1982 penny with a mint error, such as a double die or an off-center strike, that's even better. These types of coins are incredibly rare and can increase the value exponentially. Mint errors are often highly coveted by collectors because they are seen as one-of-a-kind pieces that tell the story of the minting process, making them even more fascinating. So, what exactly is the value of a 1982 Lincoln 1-cent coin in today's market? If you've come across a well-preserved, error-free 1982 penny, it will likely be worth only a few cents more than its face value. However, if your penny has one of the rare mint errors we've discussed, like a double die, off-center strike, or any other unique characteristic, the value can skyrocket. In fact, depending on the error, condition, and rarity, a 1982 penny can fetch an impressive $50,000. Yes, you heard that right, $50,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that a coin worth only 1 cent when it was first minted could now be worth such a substantial sum. Collectors are constantly on the lookout for 1979, 1981, and 1982 era coins, and with the right characteristics, the 1982 penny can be one of the most lucrative finds in your collection. If you have any of these 1979, 1981, or 1982 pennies, it's time to examine them closely. You never know, you might be holding onto a small fortune hidden in plain sight. Whether it's a double die error, an off-center strike, or just an uncirculated beauty, the 1982 Lincoln 1-cent coin can be far more valuable than you might have imagined. So, make sure to keep an eye out for any 1982 pennies you come across. And if you think you've got one with a rare minting error or in perfect condition, it might be worth getting it professionally graded to determine its exact value. You could be sitting on an incredible treasure that might just be worth $50,000. Last unique coin, we're diving into the 1985 1-cent coin, the humble penny that has become a sought-after item for collectors in recent years. While you may have spent plenty of these pennies without giving them a second thought, some 1985 pennies could be hiding a hidden treasure. Stick around as we explore the history, significance, and potential value of this seemingly ordinary coin. Let's start with a quick overview. The 1985 1-cent coin was minted during the Reagan administration, a time when the U.S. economy was experiencing growth and prosperity. The coin itself is part of the Lincoln Cent series, which has been in circulation since 1909. On the obverse of the coin, we see the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. The reverse side features the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of the nation's history and democratic values. But even though it looks like just another penny, there's something unique about the 1985 penny that has collectors paying close attention. The key to the 1985 1-cent coin's value lies in its rarity, condition, and the potential for minting errors. Like many coins from the mid-1980s, the 1985 penny wasn't necessarily minted in small quantities. However, certain minting issues or varieties make this particular penny an appealing target for numismatists. The coin was minted at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and if you look closely, you'll notice the important D mint mark on the Denver minted coins, which is highly desirable for collectors. But here's where things get interesting. while many 1985 pennies were simply circulated as everyday change, there are certain minting errors that make this particular coin special and valuable. One of the most common issues collectors search for is the double die variety. What exactly is a double die? In simple terms, it's when the coin is struck more than once, causing the design to appear doubled, typically in the date, lettering, or other parts of the image. For a 1985 penny, this means the 1985 date might appear with a slight overlap or duplication, making it appear blurry or doubled. These double die pennies are incredibly rare, and if you find one, it could be worth a lot more than a regular penny. Another key to the 1985 penny's value is the condition of the coin. Like many older coins, the condition plays a significant role in determining its worth. Coins that have been heavily circulated tend to be worn down and may show signs of damage, such as scratches, discoloration, or nicks. On the other hand, coins that have been well preserved or even uncirculated are worth far more. A mint state penny, meaning it has no visible wear and still retains its original luster, can easily fetch a higher price from collectors looking to fill out their collection. Now, let's take a look at what could make the 1985 1-cent coin even more valuable. As with most pennies from this era, there were coins that were misstruck or experienced issues during the minting process. One of these issues was off-center strikes. This occurs when a coin is not perfectly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be shifted to one side of the coin. These misaligned pennies are rare and highly collectible because they show an error that happened during the production of the coin. Collectors love coins like these because they are unique and can't be replicated, making them especially desirable. Now, let's talk about the ultimate value of the 1985 1-cent coin. You might be wondering, how much could a 1985 penny possibly be worth? Well, it turns out that depending on the minting errors and condition, a 1985 penny can fetch a staggering price. The most desirable coins, especially those with double die errors, off-center strikes, or coins that are in pristine uncirculated condition, can be worth as much as $45,000. That's right, $45,000 for a coin that was once worth only 1 cent. It's incredible to think about how a small mistake during the minting process can turn an everyday penny into a treasure worth thousands of dollars. So, if you have any 1985 pennies in your collection, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. Inspect them carefully for signs of minting errors like double die varieties, off-center strikes, or any other anomalies that could make them special. If you find one of these rare versions, it could be worth $45,000. Even a well-preserved 1985 penny in excellent condition could bring in a significant amount of money, depending on the demand and rarity. Of course, the next step would be to get it professionally graded. A professional grader can determine the coin's exact condition and any potential errors that might increase its value. Once it's graded, you'll have a clearer picture of what your coin is worth, and it could open up opportunities to sell or trade with other collectors. Whether you're new to coin collecting or you've been at it for years, the 1985 1-cent coin is a great reminder that sometimes the most ordinary seeming items can hold extraordinary value. With its potential for minting errors, double die varieties, and the importance of condition, this little penny could be hiding a treasure worth far more than just 1 cent. Thanks for tuning in today. If you found this information helpful and you're excited about finding your own rare coins, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on any future coin discoveries. Who knows, you might just find your own $45,000 penny sitting in your change jar. Happy collecting, and see you in the next video.